Hi guys, welcome to another episode of El Jefe's Chop Shop. I'm Jeff, and today we're getting stuck into the Lexus wiring once again. So the last time we worked in the shed was on the engine removal. That was a few weeks ago now. I've just been finishing off the house and got some bench tops and stuff. So been pretty busy with all of that. So this morning I just quickly cleaned the shed out, and now I've changed my mind with this wiring. So we're going to get stuck into that. I'll pull it all out and explain what's going to happen. So my original plan with all this wiring was to keep it as it is in the Lexus, use all of the factory fuse holders and all of the switches and everything. So I've spoken to a few people who know a lot more than I do, and that seems like a really dumb idea. A lot of this stuff talks to each other, so if you delete one thing, something else unrelated stops working. So I've removed the engine and cut that wiring off, as you would have seen in the last video, or one of the last videos. And a whole bunch of other stuff stopped working already. So I'm going to cut off all of the things that I need and use my own wiring, which I sort of thought would be the case from the start, but you know, wishful thinking. So I'm going to cut off the door locks, the window motors, the steering column, all the stalk and everything, and I'll keep all the wiring. And I'll just cut the fuse boxes out and delete anything I don't need. And then when it comes to putting it all in the Dodge, I'll have to run my own power and hook everything up. So the plan for today is to cut off all of the things that I need and lay them out, work out what I do need, what I don't need, and get rid of anything I don't. And then I'll put them all in a box, and I want to get rid of this front cut. So that won't be happening today, but at least if I can get it stripped, it can go in the bin. So on one of the last episodes, I said about keeping the subframe and the front cut for engine mounts. I had a quick look online, and the engine mounts are available already on the net. So I can work it out or buy those, or I can work it out when and if I decide to do this conversion of my car. It's looking less likely as the days go on, so there's no real need for this front cut. So if someone wants the subframe and someone wants a few other bits and pieces from the front, so instead of keeping them and wasting my time and money, may as well sell them and recoup some of the funds. So I've been cutting this wiring up for about an hour or so now. I've got a pile of things I want to keep. Got a small pile of rubbish, and then a pile of excess wires. So then coming back around here, we've got the doors, the steering column, which I've removed a few things for the immobilizer off of. That's going to be pretty simple when it's in the Dodge, so there's no need for that stuff. That is some more spares, things I might need, and that's all the spare plugs that I've got. So as you can see, the front cut is getting quite bare. Most of the wiring's out now. I've just pulled it through to the engine bay side. So over here was where the original plug was. That's all now here. So it's all caught up in this one corner here with the brake master and the ABS. So I'll have to dive into that in a minute. And then we've got all the computer modules and the fuse box and stuff like that we don't need. So before I do anything like that, I'm going to pull out the pedals, pull out the heater box, pull out the aircon, all of that stuff underneath the dash against the firewall. And I'll pack this stuff up. I'll go through that as well. I'll just move it all out of the way, and then I'll stand this half cut up and then pull the bottom stuff off. So the first thing I'm going to pull out is these pedals and try and get access to this wiring back here, which is reasonably easy anyway. So I can poke that through the firewall side. I'll undo those 4 bolts so I can get the master cylinder off and get the steering shaft out. So I got a bit carried away and took it all out. Only took 10-15 minutes. So this side's pretty much clear. Now I have to do the engine bay side. So there's not a whole heap to do on this side. I just got to get the ABS module out, get the brake booster and brake master out, and then remove the last bit of the wiring. Just connected here, which is holding all of that wiring in. And that's about it for now. So again, that only took 5 or 10 minutes. But there's one wire that I've missed, which goes up here and it goes under that cowl panel. So I can only assume that's for the wiper motors. So I'm going to investigate that now and we'll see how we go. So I've taken the wipers and the cowl panel off, and as you can see here, the wiper motor and the wire that is held up. So if I unplug this, feed it back through there, then all that wiring loom should be free, and then I'll have to pull the wiper motor out at some other point. So I've got the wiring loom out, the ABS module, the booster and master just down there, and everything else seems to be reasonably disconnected. That's all the main things I was after. So the wiring loom's on the floor here, We come around to the other side. It's all reasonably clean and clear, all the things. And I made a spot here, so I'm going to try and stand this half cut up so that it rests on the corner A-posts and on the sill panels, and then I can get to the subframe and the front end. So to stand this front cut up, I've got some more sketchy crane work going on. So I've got a strap around the front crossmember, or rad support, whatever you call it. Goes up over the front to the block and tackle. So I'm going to just try and pull this tight and hopefully lift the front end up. I tried to do it by hand and got up to about my waist and then dropped it on my feet, which was nice. Lucky I got steel caps on. So hopefully this attempt is a bit more successful than that. Wish me luck. So that didn't really work as planned. The whole front cut decided to slide backwards rather than standing up. So it got to a point and then it started standing up. And now I'm out of crane. So I'm going to have to do this last little bit by hand, which is probably going to be dodgy as, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Should be okay. Worst case, I could go under there and undo those nuts and bolts for the subframe, but I don't really want to get under this. So I'm going to try and stand it up. So that was sketchy but effective. As you can see, the half cut is on its back. Perfect access to all of the stuff underneath, and I don't have to lay down, which is nice. You can see I got most of it off beforehand anyway, but there's still that cross member, the steering rack, and a few other bits and pieces. So I'll get stuck into that once I've cleaned my tools up. Probably be tomorrow now. As you can see, there's a hell of a mess back here. It's all the wiring loom I pulled out. All of my neat piles of wiring are all messed up now, so I'm going to have to go through that again. And there's no real order to my tools. So we'll see tomorrow, see how much we get done then. So hopefully the final day of working on this Lexus. I'm just going to pull the cross member out, the steering rack, and a few braces off. And it's always good to save stuff like this, which is a brake line joiner, which are always handy when you're doing custom stuff. And then I've got 2 top arms to pull out, and that's about it. I'm going to try and load it onto the trailer by myself. So I got a bit carried away, as you can see. Completely stripped the entire front cut. So we got the cross member and the A-arms that I was talking about, and then all of the nuts and bolts. I always keep all of the nuts and bolts off these things because they're much nicer than what you can buy in the shops. And we took the windscreen wiper motor out and all the linkages and every single nut and bolt off this whole thing. So now I've got to clean up this mess and try and get the trailer past this frame that I've been building. So I've had a bit of a think. I'm going to bring the trailer in forwards, out that way, try and reverse it up against this gate stuff that I still haven't done. And the trailer should come to a little bit past that when the wheels have touched the timber or the decking. And then I've only got to get it from there to where Harley is pretty much. But you're going inside so you don't get hurt. So that bit was reasonably easy. Drove the Ranger in with the trailer, reversed it up. So now it's going to get the half cut from there to there. So I thought that was going to be the hard bit, but it turned out to be reasonably easy. I reckon 2 people could pick this up. So what I did is I just lifted one side, brought it around a bit, lifted the other side, brought it around again, just worked my way out of the shed. So now I need to try and tip it over on its side into the trailer. You always get it halfway in the trailer and then you find a couple of bolts you missed. So this surround that would have gone around the steering column, I'm going to save that in case I want to use it on the Dodge. Probably won't, but you've got to save these things. So I'll just add this to the pile of the things I won't need anymore. Things I won't use. Better keep it. Now back onto this front cut into the trailer job. So it's as easy as that. Bit of fiddling, bit of lifting. It's in there. Got a couple inches to spare. So this will go to scrap tomorrow. And then I'm onto this pile. It was a pretty straight BMW a couple minutes ago. So that front cut weighed 140 kilos and we got $22.40. So yesterday I scrapped the front cut, and then today just been working on cleaning up the shed. So I've hung some lights off of my sketchy rope work, so I can actually see what I'm doing for once. So this A-frame is actually going to be a gantry. So it's currently on its side. This is the bottom, these two and these two. So it'll stand up that way, and then big thick I-beam up the end there, and we use a block and tackle off of that, and it'll be good for removing engines and putting the Dodge cab on mainly is what I'm doing. So that's the I-beam there. So I want to put the Dodge cab onto the chassis at some point, so this should make that possible. So as you can see, this frame's reasonably complete. Some wheels on it, which I'm probably going to take off and remount. There's two braces there, and it's all welded up here. And then I need to make a brace from here to here. So I have another crossbar here and do a 45 just to stop the legs from falling over. So at the moment, looks like that. So as always, I got stuck in and forgot to video it, but this is the brace I was talking about. I've got a new upright, which is about 600 long. It's a little bit longer than it needs to be, so I can cut that back later if I need to. And then I've got I think that's about 1 meter and 10 centimeters. And then from there to there and there to there is about 75 centimeters. So that leaves me around about 2 meters in the middle, which is as wide as the cab is from the guards. So the cab of the roof is, the roof of the cab is not that wide. So there should be plenty of room. So what you can see I've done here is notched out this galv RHS, notched it out like that, and slipped it over the other RHS so that I could get a weld on every side. And then up the top, just cut it on a 45 and welded that onto this I-beam. So it's not fully welded yet. I got it out for dinner, so that's where I'm going to have to call it today. But I've also done the other side. And as you can see, notched it out and welded it on up there. So before I can stand this up, I have to actually flip it over the other way so I can do the welds under here and under here. And the same on the other side. So I'm going to have to flip it over entirely that way and then try and stand it up, I reckon. But I might get a bit close to the house, so I'm going to need a few people to help me with that. So that's where I'm going to leave it for today. That's probably the last you'll see of the gantry crane until I try and stand it up. Just got some welds to do to finish it off, and maybe do something with the wheels. If I do something fancy, I'll film it. If I just take them off and refit them, then I will just do it. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.